This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shasheena Rolle. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping the news, a freak industrial accident occurred today in waters near the Borco jetty. Now, police have confirmed that a dive contractor was doing some work out to sea when his legs got entangled in some lines, resulting in his right ankle being amputated. The diver was taken to hospital where he is reported to be in stable condition. Unconfirmed reports say the diver was working for a local dive contractor. We telephoned Borco several times today for confirmation of this incident. However, we were told that the executives were in a meeting and no one was available to provide a comment. Now, ZNS News has also learned that an investigation is underway into this apparent industrial accident. Well, as discussions continue regarding a proposed increase in minimum wage, a local labor activist is taking a critical look at the state of labor on Grand Bahama. Joan Davis Rolle has this story.
There are two vital prongs of Grand Bahama's economy that continues to yield a level of success: tourism and the industrial sector. With Grand Bahama being the industrial capital of the Bahamas, it has made this island an envy of the region. However, local labor activist Lionel Morley is taking exception to the salaries paid to local workers, stating that too many Bahamians are overworked and underpaid within the various sectors.
When you do a comparability study to those persons that makes more than minimum wage, those people too are far underpaid. We have some industry down there, versus some that are 55 miles away from our borders, that makes 7 times more than those persons in those industry that he brags about. The people in this country, in this town, are underpaid and overly utilized.
He says no country can function without a viable workforce.
We have wasted a lot of time fighting each other and pointing fingers rather than finding a seat around the table and finding a sensible solution where we can put the pressure on the powers to be, that they understand that there can be no discussion without labor.
Reports of underpaid workers, he says, cannot be tolerated and must be investigated. What was recently brought to attention by a resident, he was concerned that persons, specifically maids on Grand Bahama, are being paid $3 an hour in 2015. What do you think about that?
People who so-called union leaders do not have the fire in their belly and the drive and tenacity to push the agenda of the workers forward. They take these positions for positions only. And from time of memorial, from the Memorandum of Understanding was signed in 1973, when we had the champions and the likes of Sir Milo Butler, Sir Lyndon and Sir Clifford and Sir Cecil, and those where they bring about the gratuities, where gratuities will supplement for lower wage salaries. Today, the employers are now take a new position. They become legislator. They take the gratuities and they use it for salaries. The people are paid from the very salaries in which they are supposed to be paid because they're directly servicing a guest. And so we have a role reversal. But who's there to spearhead and to fight and to champion the cause of these people? Do you think government is going to rise to the occasion every time I fight? They have to legislate for both sides.
Joan Davis Rolle, ZNS Network News.
In other news, the Constitutional Committee continuing its series of public consultation meetings here on Grand Bahama. The latest group to learn more about the gender equality bills were public officers. Now, there are 4 separate bills. Retired Justice Ruby Nottage says it is important to educate these persons because they are the gatekeepers of society.
These are the gatekeepers of our country, of those who are citizens of the Bahamas, those who want to be citizens, and gatekeepers of people who make applications in various aspects that relate to immigration. For example, if a child is born outside the Bahamas and their parents wish to bring them back into the Bahamas, we discuss some of the issues that might concern a public officer who has to make the decision as to whether they can give a document, a Bahamian document, to that child that's now seeking to be given Bahamian documentation. So public officers are extremely important.
Nottage says she is pleased that more and more persons are becoming aware of the bills and what they seek to do.
I am very certain that it is, and I'm delighted. You can see my heart lifting because, you know, before Christmas, we came to Grand Bahama on several occasions. There were people who were quite happy to hear the message, and they understood, but there were others who heard it and they were not happy. Let's put it that way. They were not comfortable with the message. Now I feel that they are listening. I'm not certain that I have convinced everyone. You will never convince everyone.
Well, so far the committee has visited West End and 8 Mile Walk. Tomorrow they will take the message to High Rock, and on Friday they will be on to Sweetings Key. The Department of Immigration mounting an operation over on the island of Abaco today. ZNS News has learned that processing of suspected illegals began this morning at the parish of St. John's and will unfold over the next several days. Immigration Minister, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, giving the details in Parliament this morning, noting this period of more intensive checks has been mounted in Abaco by the department because of recent reports that state that 60 people believed to be from Haiti slipped into Abaco undetected and without visas in the early hours of March 12th. Minister Mitchell says a team of immigration officers were transported to Abaco on board the HMBS Nassau this morning and began immigration checks, assisting the local immigration force. The Department of Immigration is supported by the police, and the defense force is also on standby for support. Well, as local law enforcement officers in the Bahamas work to stem the tide of crime, the assistance of their United States counterparts is said to be a vital component to their success. U.S. officials say it is this partnership that is being solidified as the war on crime continues. Our Joan Davis Rolle reports.
They are our neighbors to the north, and for years their presence on the high seas have played a pivotal role in the fight against crime. For decades, the United States Coast Guard, in conjunction with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, has formed a united front, not only patrolling our borders, but keeping them safe. Commanding Officer of the United States Coast Guard, Terry Johns.
We have a vast maritime border, and much of that can have weaknesses, so it helps to have the Coast Guard out at sea assisting, and especially with our partner nations also kind of standing the role as guardians to protect both of our nations from the scourge of contraband that are entering our countries.
The Bahamas, an archipelagic nation, unlike the United States, has been challenged on many fronts. Commander John says as ties between the Bahamas and the United States continue to intensify, so does the criminal element.
The greatest challenge, I would say, is resources. Our Coast Guard Cutter Vigorous is a 45-year-old ship. In order to maintain that and keep it running and being efficient and successful requires a heck of a lot of hard work. My crew members are constantly trying to keep systems going and keep them up, which requires lots of man hours, lots of hard work and sweat. That's the biggest challenge we have.
The commander noted that the success of their efforts have definitely put a dent in crime. Their greatest asset, technology.
Our technological advances, I'd say, and our ability to gain intelligence is probably some of the biggest help we've had. Operations Bahamas and Turks and Caicos and the Royal Bahama Police Force have been instrumental in helping us there, in helping us to determine the source of the contraband, and then we have a much better opportunity to be successful.
Joan Davis Rolle, ZNS Network News.
Police arresting 3 males for possession of dangerous drugs. Reports are that around 2 o'clock this morning, officers of the mobile unit stopped a black Volkswagen Jetta with 3 male occupants while on Sattler's Way. Police say the men were acting suspiciously. A search was conducted and officers discovered a quantity of suspected marijuana and cash that is suspected of being derived from illegal proceeds. Now all persons were arrested and taken into custody. Active investigations are continuing. Stay with us, more news right after this.